standing until the conclusion of the reading of the proclamation. Ladies and gentlemen, the proclamation. All persons having any business before this honorable court now draw nigh. Give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Admission of lawyers. Elam Aras.
May I please the court that I move that Ilham Aras be admitted as a lawyer of this honorable court.
Let Ilham Aras be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Morgan Alexander Ross Bell.
May it please this court, I move that Morgan Alexander Ross Bell be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Morgan Alexander Ross Bell be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jamie Garwan Can.
May it please the court, I move that Jamie Gar-Yun Chan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jamie Garwan Can be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Thomas Liam Clark.
May it please the court, I move that Thomas Liam Clark be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Thomas Liam Clark be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Emma Violet Cutmore.
May it please this court, I move that Emma Violet Cutmore be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Emma Violet Cutmore be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Yujan Dang.
May it please this court, I move that Jian Dang be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Yuan Dang be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Mariam Dibb.
May it please the court, I move that Mariam Dibb be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Mariam Dibb be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jack Arthur Doyle.
May it please the court, I move that Jack Arthur Doyle be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jack Arthur Doyle be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Bill Eltachki.
May it please the court, I move that Bill Eltachki be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Bill Eltachki be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ziwan Feng.
May it please this court, I move that Jian Feng be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable
Let
court.
Ziwan Feng be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jack Joseph Fox.
May it please the court, I move that Jack Joseph Fox be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jack Joseph Fox be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
David Gabash.
May it please the court, I move that David Gabash be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let David Gabash be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Hannah Louise Hadley.
May it please this court, I move that Hannah Louise Hadley be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Hannah Louise Hadley be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Naraya Hakamzada.
May it please the court, I move that Maria be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Maria Hakimzada be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Melissa Ann Hannah.
May it please this court, I move that Melissa Ann Hannah be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable
Let
court.
Melissa Ann Hannah be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Zhenyu He.
May it please the court, I move that Zhang Yu He be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable
Let
court.
Zhen Yu He be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Pranay Jha.
May it please the court, I move that Pranay Jha be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Pranay Jha be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sarah Jade Jobson.
May it please the court, I move that Sarah Jade Jobson be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sarah J. Jobson be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sivanjali Karalasingam.
May it please the court, I move that Sivanjali Karalasingam be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sivanjali Karalasingam be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Katrina Nina Keating.
May it please the court, I move that Katrina Nina Keating be admitted to a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Katrina Nina Keating be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Alicia Louise Kincaid.
May it please the court, I move that my fiancée, Alicia Louise Kincaid, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Alicia Louise Kincaid be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ki Jing Lim.
May it please the court, I move that Kim Chin Lim be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Ki Jing Lim be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Xiao Fang Ma.
Mr. Registrar.
May it please the court, I move that Xiaofeng Ma be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Xiaofeng Ma be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Pranav Marathe.
May it please the court, I move that Pranav Marathe be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Pranav Marathe be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Esther Lily Matthews.
May it please the court, I move that Esther Lily Matthews be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Esther Lily Matthews be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Nicholas John McDermott.
May it please the court, I move that Nicholas John McDermott be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Nicholas John McDermott be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Michaela Emmy Mueller.
May it please the court, I move that Michaela Emmy Mueller be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Michaela Emmy Mueller be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Hugo William Murata.
May it please the court, I move that Hugo William Murata be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Hugo William Murata be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Leanne Emma O'Reilly.
May it please the court, I move that Leanne Emma O'Reilly be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Leanne Emma O'Reilly be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Casey Owen.
May it please the court, I move that Casey Owen be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Casey Owen be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Espy P.F. Pangalinan Pagtalunan.
Registrar.
May it please the court, I move that SP P.F. Pangalinan Pagtalunan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let SP P. Pangalangan Patagulan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Georgia Patterson.
May it please the court, I move that Georgia Patterson be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Georgia Patterson be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Lucy Claire Ray.
May it please this court, I move that Lucy Claire Ray be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Lucy Claire Ray be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Peter Sayed.
May it please the court, I move that Peter Sayed be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Peter Sayed be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Thomas Joseph Shembry.
May it please the court, I move that Thomas Joseph Shembry be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Thomas Joseph Shembry be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Adam Julius Sobel.
May it please the court, I move that my son Adam Julius Sobel be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Adam Julius Sobel be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Larissa Stevenson.
May it please the court, I move that Larissa Stevenson be admitted as a lawyer of this
Let Larissa Stevenson be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Gregory James Simmons.
May it please the court, I move that Gregory James Simmons be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Gregory James Simmons be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Francesca Rose Toffolo.
May it please the court, I move that Francesca Rose Toffolo be admitted as lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Francesca Rose Toffolo be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jennifer Yuen Hung Cho.
May it please the court, I move that Jennifer Yuen Hung Sui be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jennifer Yuen Hong Cho be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Katerina Vavrinich.
May it please the court, I move that Katrina Vavrinich be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Katerina Vavrinich be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jing Yai Wang.
May it please the court, I move that Jing Yi Wang be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jing Yi Wang be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Severio Anthony Zirilli.
May it please the court, I move that Severio Anthony Zirilli be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Severio Anthony Zarelli be admitted as a lawyer of this court. will now be necessary for the applicants whose admission has just been moved to stand and remain standing as directed for the purpose of swearing an oath or making a declaration or affirmation. So please stand as directed by the officiating officer.
Could rows 1 and 2 on my right please stand? Elam Arras, Morgan Alexander Ross Bell, Jamie Gawan Can, Thomas Liam Clark, Emma Violet Cutmore, Yujan Dang, Mariam Deb, Jack Arthur Doyle, Bill Eltakji, Ziwan Feng, Jack Joseph Fox, David Gabash, Hannah Louise Hadley, Naraya Hakamzada, Melissa Ann Hanna, Zhenyu He. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Please say, "So help me God," or "I do."
I do.
Thank you. Please sit down. And could rows 3 and 4 on my right please stand? Pranay Jha, Sarah J. Jobson, Sivanjali Karalasingam, Katrina Nina Keating, Alicia Louise Kincaid, Kijing Lim, Xiaofang Ma, Pranav Marathe, Esther Lily Matthews, Nicholas John McDermott, Michaela Emmy Muir, Hugo William Murata, Leanne Emma O'Reilly, Casey Owen, SPPF Pangilinan Pagtalunan, Georgia Patterson, Lucy Claire Ray, Peter Sade. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Please say, "So help me God," or "I do." Thank you. Please sit down. And could both rows to my left please stand up? Thomas Joseph Shembry, Adam Julius Sobel, Larissa Stevenson, Gregory James Simmons, Francesca Rose Toffolo, Jennifer Yuen Hung Cho, Katerina Favrinech, Yingji Wang, Saverio Anthony Zurilli. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Please say, "So help me God," or "I do." Thank you. Please sit down.
Well, may I warmly welcome you all to the Supreme Court of New South Wales. Present with me on the bench today, to my right, is Justice Kuntz, who's a judge in the Equity Division of the Court. To my left, Justice Danji, a judge of the Common Law Division of the Court. And to Justice Kuntz's right, Justice Peden, who is a judge of the Equity Division of the Court. Also, together, we constitute the court that has, in the exercise of its jurisdiction, admitted you, the newly admitted lawyers, to practice this morning. We've done so sitting here in the Banco court, which is the ceremonial court, but a working court of the Supreme Court. It sits, as does the court in its entirety, on land for which the Gadigal of the Eora Nation have cared and been custodians for thousands of years, and the court pays its respects to Gadigal elders past and present, and extends those respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. In the spirit of the Uluru Statement of the Heart, an eloquent, accurate and powerful statement which looks forward to a fuller expression of Australia's nationhood with great dignity, we acknowledge the regrettable reality that this nation's laws and legal systems have so often in the past delivered the opposite of or less than justice to First Nations peoples. Well, to all of the new lawyers, to my right and to my left, welcome to the legal profession. Today is a day for celebration. You have all worked extremely hard to get here, countless late nights of study, obscure problem questions, wafer-thin pages of textbooks, and more cases than you can hope to remember. And for most of you, your journey has involved 2 extraordinarily challenging final years affected by the pandemic, and in which you have been, I suspect, deprived of many of the opportunities for the forging of close bonds with your peers that those final years of study usually present. But you have faced and come through this additional adversity, unprecedented in our lifetimes, and that makes your achievement in being admitted this morning all the more impressive, and the resilience you have developed will stand you well into the future. In being admitted as a lawyer of this court, you join an honourable and ancient profession with the custom of advocates swearing an oath on admission to practice dating back to the 12th century. This court first admitted lawyers in 1824, and by 1830 the names of lawyers were entered onto the rolls in this state, just as you will do immediately after this ceremony. I'm also very pleased to welcome those with you today or watching on the live stream. For many of you, the support of your family and friends will have been invaluable on your journey to today. No doubt they've also been on the receiving end of your finely polished or emerging skills of argument and persuasion. I encourage you to take the time to thank them today. Depending on how good an advocate you have become, you might even convince them to shout you lunch or dinner later in the day. Well, the law touches every part of our society, as you will appreciate, and it can and will lead you all in many different directions and career paths. But in whatever direction you head, you must always remember that the oath or affirmation you have just made is a very serious one and deserves solemn regard. Whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre, a Crown Law Office, for legal aid, a government department or agency, or in an entirely different field, you should be known for your honesty, your integrity, and your commitment to justice, and you must strive at all times to uphold these cardinal values. For admission as a member of the legal profession in this state is a privilege, it is not a right. And it is in acknowledgement of the weighty responsibility that we observe today's unique formalities, including the fact that your admission has been moved by somebody who is already a member of the profession, and by the fact that you have made a formal oath or affirmation in the presence of your family and your peers. They are all witnesses to the promises and undertakings you have made publicly and solemnly today. As to formality, you will see from some of the portraits on the walls of this court that we, the judges, are wearing the same robes, in some cases literally, as have been worn by our predecessors. Symbolically, that highlights the continuity of the rule of law in New South Wales, which is very important, although the judges wearing the robes are now drawn from an increasingly diverse pool. As to continuity of the rule of law, in a world in which there is much global uncertainty and insecurity, as we see around us every day, the rule of law is more important than ever, and it's not simply a phrase of some theoretical interest. It is the rule of law is the opposite of the arbitrary abuse of power and the rule of autocratic dictators and populists, and we know there is nothing theoretical about those threats. Although we mark this occasion with formality and tradition of which I've spoken, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. The pandemic has meant a rapid shift to increase use of virtual courtroom setups and technology to ensure that access to justice continued in the midst of the pandemic, and that values of open justice, effective communication, and fairness to participants were not sacrificed. And the technology that we have come to know better than ever before has delivered greater workplace flexibility, which is especially important for lawyers with family responsibilities. And it also has had profound implications for how our legal system interacts with and may become accessible to many people, including those in rural or remote areas, those with disabilities, medical conditions, or other responsibilities. Although the increased use of technology offers a number of advantages, can I say this, that the practice of the law has human nature and human interaction at its core. An essential part of being a good lawyer is understanding people, how others react to different situations, how they perform under pressure and deal with each other. And as I said in my recent swearing-in speech as Chief Justice, while the remote practice of the law may be possible, it is far from desirable. There are, of course, other changes that in the legal profession that deserve attention. When we think of the diversity of the legal profession, we encounter something of a duality, that we have, on the one hand, come a long way, but on the other hand, that much still needs to be done in this regard. For example, although women were originally not even permitted to practice law, would you believe it, in this state, since 2018, women have made up more than half of all solicitors with a practising certificate in New South Wales, and currently make up 2/3 of solicitors under the age of 30. And women occupy many of the most senior positions in the law, including the Chief Justice of the High Court, the Chief Justices of Victoria, Queensland and the ACT, the President of the New South Wales Court of Appeal, as well as the current Commonwealth and State Directors of Public Prosecutions and the Senior Public Defender in New South Wales. There should also be strong representation of lawyers from many different backgrounds, which comprise our cosmopolitan community. Diverse representation amongst solicitors, advocates and judges assists in ensuring that all people who become involved in our justice system can, and feel that they can, be properly heard and fairly engaged with by a system reflective of our broader community. And the admission ceremonies such as this, on which I have sat since becoming a judge almost 4 years ago, highlight that there is a far greater diversity of background amongst junior lawyers than when I commenced practice 30-odd years ago. That is a very good thing indeed, and the leaders of our profession and the courts are working hard to foster inclusiveness and diversity throughout the profession. You, the newly admitted lawyers this morning, enter the profession at a time when more than ever, I think, your words and actions are having an impact for good. You are being heard and taken seriously when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it be speaking out about unfair laws or systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable, or unsustainable working cultures, sexual harassment, or bullying. You should speak up for the things that matter. That is one of the fine traditions of the legal profession, that lawyers call out injustices. So speak up when you see an injustice and urge its correction. I would also urge you all to engage with your communities outside your immediate jobs. Your training as a lawyer in systematic thought, the importance of matters of principle and fundamental fairness, including due process, equip you very well for service beyond day-to-day practice and in the wider community. You will also derive great satisfaction from such extracurricular engagement. Now, turning from opportunities to obligations, and a little bit of friendly advice. As a lawyer, you will often need to make difficult ethical decisions. You must use the tools that you have developed to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court and to the administration of justice. One mistake you must not make is to give your clients the advice you think they want to hear. That will not be good advice. Justice Gageler, before he went to the High Court, once said, and I quote, "You must be prepared to give the same answer to the same questions for the same reasons, no matter who asks the question or for what purpose or in what context the asking may occur." That is very good advice indeed, as one might expect from such a fine judge. Being a lawyer means that you are now an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate. As you go about your day-to-day work, remember that you are not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum, but the law as it applies to people's lives. An individual in need of your services as a lawyer is in most cases an individual facing some kind of great personal challenge or crisis affecting his or her liberty, property, personal well-being, or health or financial position. For these reasons, you must always strive to deliver legal services sensitively, competently, and fearlessly, but always with courtesy and integrity. In this context, I want to emphasise the importance of an old-fashioned concept, civility. Aspects of the law, especially if you're involved in the litigation side of things, are confrontational. The practice of the law can be stressful and demanding enough without personal animus and antagonism between practitioners adding to the load. So I say to you, it is essential that you maintain your detachment, balance, and good humour, remembering at all times that you are members of a profession and not a business. And remember this, the best advocates can and do make their points simply and succinctly. Often, less is more. Some of the most experienced lawyers and judges could also use that reminder from time to time, and I don't exclude myself from that. For a non-lawyer, law is often incomprehensible. One of your roles as a lawyer will be to make the law accessible to others, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, other times by dealing with poor legal drafting, and sometimes both. But strive to be clear and concise at all times, both in your writing and your speaking. At various points of your career, you will make mistakes, some minor, some more serious, and we all do, especially when we're starting something new. What is important is you try not to make the same mistake twice, and when you do make mistakes, that your commitment to honesty, integrity, and the administration of justice means that you must take responsibility, correct what you can, and learn from any errors. In the practice of the law, your physical and mental health are both extremely important. There may, and I dare say will be, times when you feel overwhelmed, burnt out, or distressed. Legal practice can be all-consuming and physically and mentally taxing. Now, that's often because you want to go the extra mile for your client, and you want to make sure that you're doing everything for them. And that, of course, is an honourable aspect of the profession. But you must work hard to keep a balance and keep your eye out to ensure that your colleagues do as well. If you do get overwhelmed by it, as frankly we all have and do from time to time, try and take a step back and recapture some perspective, or suggest gently to any of your colleagues who you think are out of whack that they do so as well. In this context, you should also remember and know, if you don't already know, that the law is a highly collegiate profession, and in times of difficulty, the support and friendship of your professional peers will prove invaluable. Both the Law Society and the Bar Association are fully attuned to the potential stresses of practice, and they are both very strong and valuable institutions which underpin working lawyers in their day-to-day work. Can I then say this to you all in closing? The law is a wonderful profession. It's stimulating, it's challenging and satisfying, and it's populated by intelligent, committed and dynamic people. You should all be proud to be a lawyer and of your achievements to date. and you should remain proud to be a lawyer. It is a very important profession, and you are now a very important part of it. So hold your heads high, and the very best luck on the exciting journey that lies ahead. On behalf of my colleagues here on the bench, and indeed all of our colleagues on the Supreme Court, I once again congratulate you on your admission and welcome you to the legal profession. Thank you. The court will now adjourn.
All stand. This honourable court is now adjourned. God save the Queen.